Giggly Gorilla Studios coming at you live from the trees of the Austrian Alps. So
I think they have trees there. I don't know. Hopefully.
According to Mission Impossible 7, they definitely do.
Okay.
They're the Alps. I mean, I don't know if it's so much trees, but a bunch of mountains.
Okay, yeah. I'm not an Alps expert, but yeah, we're back. The main goal of today is to talk about some Christopher Nolan movies leading up to Oppenheimer, which comes out in like a week and a half. But Braden already alluded to it. We both saw movies at the theater yesterday that were pretty good, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Braden's going to give absolutely zero spoilers when he talks about Mission Impossible 7, because I need to watch that movie still. But yeah, you saw it.
It is fantastic. I loved it.
That's good. Dude, that franchise just impresses me with like how consistent it can stay, especially like from Ghost Protocol up till now. It's just like, because I mean, I like Mission Impossible 3, but I don't think Mission Impossible 3 is like great. And then I haven't seen the second one. And then the first one I think is like good, but not special at all. And then they just started like bang, 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 like great films.
Yeah, I say from 3 on, they're great. I like 3 more than I like 5. I fucking love 3.
I don't know. I love parts of 3, but I don't think it's like great as a whole. I don't know if I'd have it above 5 or not, but I love 4. I love 6. Hopefully I'll love 7. I'm really happy you enjoyed it. I don't know how you got to see it on friggin' Sunday night. Like, what is your theater? What connections did they have?
I don't know. It was like a Walmart first see thing, dude. So, like, I guess Walmart sponsored this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna see it because it's like my most anticipated movie of the year because I love the last one, and like I just said, I've loved them since 3. It's been widely consistent. Yeah,
pretty crazy. But yeah, that's good.
It might be my second favorite. Fallout is still my favorite. 6 is still my favorite, but this one might be my second. I still love Ghost Protocol though. Like it and Ghost Protocol are pretty close.
Yeah. Dude, I love Fallout, and that day was like such a goated day for me because my parents didn't let me get a phone until like I was a little bit later. So that day, the day I saw Mission Impossible Fallout was also the day I got my first phone. Like my dad took me into a store and got me an iPhone.
Oh wow.
Right before we went and saw Mission Impossible Fallout. So that was like one of the greatest days of all time.
Yeah, I did see Mission Impossible Fallout with my mom.
Oh damn. I don't know if my mom likes the Mission Impossible movies. I'm not sure. I know my dad likes them.
All of them. She was just like, "Do you want to see this?" And I was like, "Yeah, obviously." I love those movies, Mom. Come on.
Well, I did not get to see Mission Impossible 7 last night, but I did go and see the new comedy that's out called Joyride, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I saw the reviews were good. That's part of the reason why I went and saw it. I saw it with a friend. It's like really funny. I won't like spoil that much, but it's like about 4 Asian friends that go on this big trip to like China, and then they end up going to South Korea. Most of the film's just it's still in English, or they have like some subtitles if they're speaking Mandarin or whatever. But I thought it was hilarious. It was kind of like, as far as the humor goes, it was sort of like R-rated 80 for Brady in terms of humor, which is kind of cool that they came out the same year because I think they're kind of similar in their style of comedy. So I was very happy with it. I have no complaints about going to see it.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't know. The trailers just haven't done it for me with that movie. Like, it doesn't look great.
Dude, I don't know. Do trailers ever, like, really do it for comedies, though? I feel like I've never seen a trailer for a comedy and been like, that looks awesome. I have to watch that. It's just the, like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that, and then you either see it or you don't.
Yeah. I don't know. It's basically like the 2 big comedy trailers I was seeing for this summer was for this, Joyride, and for No Hard Feelings, which came
No Hard Feelings
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't know when it came out. 3 weeks ago now?
It was the week after The Flash, so I think 2
2
and a half weeks ago. But yeah, no.
Yeah, we both
I like
saw
the
that
trailers
movie
for that more, so that's kind of. I chose to
That's
watch
fair.
that.
I think Joyride is significantly better than No Hard Feelings.
Okay, maybe I should watch Joyride then. But
And maybe you should. But
I guess I got a week and a half until Oppenheimer and Barbie. So
Barbie Nation, rise up! I'm so ready. That's gonna be such a good day. But yeah, that is kind of a blessing for you that you saw Mission Impossible earlier than you thought, because it kind of frees you up. Like, I know I'm gonna have to go see it this weekend, and then Barbie and Oppenheimer next weekend. I'm gonna be busy, dude, spending too much money on movie theater tickets.
oh yeah, I feel like I've been doing that all year.
You've seen so many. I'm like, God damn, slow down,
more than me
Brayden.
in theaters. I've seen a lot at home.
That's true. But this is like the first year ever that Brayden's kind of kicking my ass in terms of watching new releases. At least so far. We'll see if I catch up once.
Try to live in the present. Stop watching all these movies from the 90s.
You should have said watching movies from the 2000s, because then we could have segued it, because then...
Oh, that's
Come
true.
on, Brayden.
Watching all these movies from the 2000s and early 2010s.
Yeah, speaking of movies in the 2000s and early 2010s, like we said today, we're going to talk about two Christopher Nolan movies that are not the Dark Knight trilogy, even though we both love those films. They're the movies that Nolan kind of sandwiched in between those movies as projects that he wanted to do, he was passionate about, those being The Prestige and Inception. So we're going to start with The Prestige, I think, and then we'll go on to Inception. So I don't really know where we want to start. I did read that The Prestige is based on a novel, and Nolan read the novel in like the early 2000s, and he was interested in it. And so production on it or like pre-production stuff actually started on it before Batman Begins happened. But then he got Batman Begins and basically put it on the back burner until that was done. So, yeah, that's kind of how The Prestige came to be. I think I told you this when we rewatched it together. I was like, it feels very weird in Nolan's filmography of like the Batman movies and then all the like weird time-centric stuff like Memento and Inception, Interstellar, Tenet. I feel like The Prestige is kind of an oddball out because it's like almost a period piece in some ways. It's like a magician movie.
There was Dunkirk, but now like Oppenheimer, like those two are their war movies basically, or whatever. Or Oppenheimer is not really gonna be. I don't think it's gonna really be a war movie, but it's like it was integral to winning the war.
Right. Well, depending on who you ask, but it was a big part of the war.
Yeah, military is obviously in there and everything. So
yeah.
Anyway, this is not about Oppenheimer. We'll have an episode on that after it comes out.
I'm excited for it. But yeah, we're talking about The Prestige, 2006. I forgot how many people were in this movie.
What do you mean?
Like, straight up. Just like actors that I forgot.
Oh, like Rebecca Hall.
Or just didn't even know, yeah. Like, Rebecca Hall's in this. I knew Andy Serkis was in it, but I didn't remember him until we watched it again.
Yes, I forgot that as well. And David Bowie. David Bowie was in it.
David Bowie plays Nikola Tesla in this. That was wild to me. I was like, hey, I like that guy's music. I didn't know he was in this movie.
His music? That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a pretty stacked cast. This is the only Christopher Nolan movie that Hugh Jackman is in. So I wonder if we'll ever see him return to a movie with Nolan. I don't know what to say.
Guys, that's what this movie is.
Yeah, no, that's I do kind of like that about this movie. Is it's just two dudes who absolutely hate each other, like so much. Like each of their goals is just to fuck over the other one. They don't like each other, and they just go back and forth, go at it the whole time.
Yeah, this takes place in like this one town because this was like I don't even know when this is set.
I think it's like the late 1800s or something like that.
Pretty far back.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes the Tesla stuff even more confusing, but...
I know, it's like, how were they doing this back then, bro? There's no way. Tesla was not that guy. Like, I know he invented, like, some electricity stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, they make him seem like just, like, the god of electricity. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
electricity's so powerful that Hugh Jackman can clone himself.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, we can get into it more, but that stuff is my only, like, real issue with this movie, I think. Or not even, like, issue. Like, I don't think it's bad in, like, a filmmaking sense, but that's the stuff that I'm not as interested in. And I just like when it's, you know, Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and it's more grounded, and it's just who can be the better magician without literal cloning. Like, what the hell?
And without people dying.
That's true. It does get... This movie is kind of messed up in a couple scenes. Like, it gets really dark, which I didn't exactly remember from the first time I watched this. Watching it again, I was like, oh my god. Like, people die. People are depressed. It's like, holy man.
Yeah, like that girl drowned in the beginning. Freaking Christian Bale's wife hangs herself because... She was like, do you love me? And he says, not today, because you find out later that he has a... Did they ever confirm if it's a twin or if it's just, like, someone that's really close to him?
Yeah, I think it's just someone that looks like him, and then they do, like, obviously they have, like, the facial hair and stuff like that they put on. I don't know if it's a twin or not, but, that part is crazy to me. Like, that's something that I like, because it's, like, it's out there, and it's like, who would ever do this? But it's like real, like it's feasible. It's not like inventing cloning, you know?
Yeah, I guess it's more feasible.
I mean, I personally wouldn't cut off my fingers.
So who knows, man?
That's true. But that is like literally just happening now, and this movie was like over 100 years ago. So,
well, it's set over 100 years ago. It was
the movie wasn't made 100 years.
I don't remember when that was, but it was like a while ago. Like, not
we're doing crazy stuff with science, dude. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Creepy.
It is kind of creepy. But I guess the one thing I will say about the cloning and all this stuff with Tesla is it does kind of drive home the juxtaposition of Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale's character, where Christian Bale is like very practical and just like really skilled as a magician, and he just uses that, and it's like the whole time you're thinking, oh, he's got to be like doing something, but really he's just so committed that he has another guy that gonna cut his fingers off just to match or whatever, stuff like that. And then Hugh Jackman's character, his magician, is sort of like more showy and not as locked into the practical stuff, but he has the money that he can go out and figure out how to make his own thing by inventing cloning with Tesla. I like that element of it as a whole. I'm just not crazy about the whack electricity science stuff, but it was cool to see David Bowie, I guess. Good for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There are elements of this film that, like, remind me of something like the Banshees of Inisherin, too. Like, just... Yeah. I guess the fucked up nature of it all.
That's true. It actually, I think theme wise and like tone wise, there's definitely some crossover. Although I would argue this movie's probably more rewatchable than Banshees of Inisherin, even though I think Banshees is probably better. I feel like if I wanted to
agree,
if I wanted to throw one of the two on, I would probably go with the
Banshees
Prestige.
is a more depressing movie.
Yeah, that movie. Oh my god, dude, that movie messed me up for like days afterwards because I just kept thinking about it.
Thinking about it. I'm like, that movie's like, I would mention it to everyone too. I'm like, bro, the Banshees of Inisherin, that movie is
everyone's like, what did you just say? Like, I tried to tell people and they would be like, the Banshees of what? Like, I feel like no one who wasn't like a film fan was really aware of that movie. And
sucks because it's so good.
It is so good. More people need to watch Banshees of Inisherin.
They do.
Definitely. Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, I do think, I read something that was pretty interesting.
I noticed you're the Batman shirt, bro. That's fucking dope.
Oh yeah, I am wearing the Batman shirt. People listening can't see it, but I love this shirt.
I'm wearing a Patriot shirt for...
Yeah. Dude, you've got the hat on to go with it. Oh, yeah. You've got the poster hanging up in the back of your room. I love it. But, I was reading something also that I thought was interesting that, I don't know, maybe I should have just known from watching it, but they set up at the beginning and the end of the movie, like the three parts of a magic trick. And, apparently they tried to like format the movie or like the three acts of the movie to represent those like acts of a magic trick cinematically. Which I'd have to think about more of like how that really did come into play, but I thought that was cool, at least to think about.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about how they like shot the magic tricks at all.
I wasn't either, to be honest. Like for me, I guess this is something that's kind of cool about it though. It feels really grounded and intimate with the characters for a movie that is about magicians. Like I think when I think of magic and magicians, it's all like showy and like the extravagant nature of like a magic show, but this movie is like gritty. It's like journal narration over it. It's intimate with the characters, and so I kind of like that. It's kind of an inverse of like what you'd expect.
Yeah, it feels quite personal.
Like, yeah,
both characters are extremely egotistical, and that's the driving force of the entire narrative.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for stories that are just like, I hate this guy, I'm gonna beat him, and the other guy's like, I hate that guy, I'm gonna beat him, and it's just like,
and ultimately they both lose in the end. Like,
I know, that's what
was the point of it all?
There really wasn't any point, and they just drove each other into the ground.
Yeah, like Christian Bale lost his fucking family, lost his other half. And yeah, Hugh Jackman dead. He's dead.
He got killed. Yeah. So probably a lesson in that. Maybe don't focus on your hatred too much, because it probably won't amount to anything good in the end.
Karma.
But yeah, I like the whole cast in this movie though. I think Hugh Jackman's great. I think I probably like him more than Christian Bale in this movie.
Hugh Jackman is great in pretty much anything he's ever done that is not movie 43. That movie's not good. Never. The one where he has the balls on his chin. Yes, that one. That movie.
I haven't seen that.
Don't watch it ever. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's so bad.
But yeah, I think he was great. Christian Bale was great, as he always is. Scarlett Johansson's in this, super young. Cool to see her. Michael Caine is in this. That's one thing we didn't bring up, is that Christian Bale's character, his first name is Alfred in this. And obviously Michael Caine in this as well, who plays Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy. So I feel like Christopher Nolan's creative juices were a little strung out during this stretch of his career. He was like, I can't think of a name. I'll just steal it from the movie I did before this.
I'll just steal it from a comic book character that I've done a movie adaptation for.
Yeah. I do think the Prestige, it kind of serves as like a good, I guess, transition point or middle ground between a lot of Nolan's earlier work, which was that more grounded, sort of gritty type style, with the later work, like the 2010s, which focused on huge spectacle and more action, set pieces, the weird time stuff going on. Because the Prestige kind of has both. Like, it feels very grounded, personal, for the most part, but then you get these moments of the cloning and the Tesla and the big moments with Hugh Jackman's show that kind of using the intricate levels of that, like, 3-act of a thing, and some confusing moments. I don't think this movie's nearly as confusing as some of his later stuff, but it uses deception. So that was one thing I thought about, was it's kind of like the best of both worlds. I don't know if I would say best, because this isn't one of my favorite Nolan movies. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and it moves really fast. Like, it doesn't really feel like a 2-hour movie at all, but it is.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think the pacing is definitely really good. Once it gets going, I mean, it just goes. Like, it takes a little bit to get into it, and then I feel like from the 20-minute mark, you look up after that, and it's like you're an hour and a half in, and you're like, what the heck just happened? I feel like we're like just getting to the halfway point, and it's like so far past. So I definitely agree that it moved fast.
Yeah, and I don't know, it kind of feels like a movie that you wouldn't think would move that fast either, because it's just like a very personal, very character-driven film.
Yeah. It's like the absolute opposite of Dunkirk, which is like Nolan's least character-driven film. Like, characters in that movie are not that important at all. It's basically just the story of what's happening, and this movie is kind of the opposite.
Yeah, and I like character-driven films, so I think this movie is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I like this movie too. Another thing, I forgot what I was gonna say. I had something, and then I listened to you talk, and it was gone from my brain.
Shot of the movie is very creepy.
It is very creepy. It's like Hugh Jackman's character, like, floating in water. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and the tank that killed his clone earlier, and also the lady, his first assistant.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's just goes to show again. This movie is messed up, and I didn't really remember that. People die, people drown, they hang themselves. Like, it's a yikes. But I remembered what I was going to say. I think I mentioned to you, like, I think it's an interesting film because both of these characters that are pitted against each other are at the end of the day bad people. Like, neither one of them are really a protagonist. I mean, Christian Bale, at times does show, like, love for his family and whatnot, and Hugh Jackman at times does seem like a genuine, like, entertainer, like, just wants to entertain people. But they both go to such extreme lengths that, I mean, they're both bad people, but I think they're both compelling in their own way, which can be hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not really easy to make two hateful guys into compelling characters like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd compare it like
go ahead. I was never really actively rooting for or against either. I was just like, I'm just interested to see where the story's going to go.
Right. You just kind of watch it unfold. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd compare it almost to, like, There Will Be Blood in a way, with, like, Daniel Day-Lewis's character and Paul Dano's character, where, like, those two hate each other so much and they're going at it, but they're both kind of awful at the end of the day. Like, neither of those guys are good people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that movie also has no real protagonist.
Yeah, not really. No. Unlike
I mean,
for Old Men, which kind of does have some real protagonists.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones is a protagonist. Josh Brolin is a protagonist.
Yep.
That's
and then they're going
just a big antagonist. Fucking.
Yeah, huge antagonist. Just an absolute badass.
Anton Chigurh, love him. Maybe.
What a guy. Literally just carries around like dude, I love his weapon in that movie. His, like, air gun or whatever.
The oxygen tank or whatever.
Yeah.
It just pierces through people's freaking head. I'm like, dude, calm down.
It's so wild. Like, how did they think of that?
I don't know.
How are they like, I know what our villain is going to use as a weapon, and it's that? Like, what the heck?
An oxygen tank. That's what he's going to freaking use.
I don't know.
Pressure.
Do you have... Yeah. No kidding. Do you have anything else you want to say about The Prestige?
We can move on to Inception. I think The Prestige is great. Love both the leads in the movie. Michael Caine is good as kind of the middle guy. Yeah,
he kind of plays on both sides and sort of explains things to the audience, I feel like, at times, because, like, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are so just, like, intent on going 100 miles an hour to get the other guy that Michael Caine's kind of the one that slows him down a little bit and walks us through the world of, like, magic and the magicians. I just love Michael Caine, dude. I was so shocked when I looked up his age when we were watching this, and he's 90 now.
Yeah, very surprising. Did not know he was that old.
I didn't either. Like, how did that happen? But, yeah, I definitely like The Prestige a lot. It's not one of my, like, all-time favorite movies or anything, but it's very good. Definitely in my top half of Nolan films. What is definitely in my top half is the next movie we're going to talk about, though, which is Inception, which came out in 2010, in between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, and kind of capped off, for me at least, maybe like the greatest 4-film run by a director ever, which is the first 2 of the Dark Knight trilogy and the 2 movies we're talking about today. Batman Begins, Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception, back to back to back to back. Pretty wild.
Yeah, 4 great films, and Inception is probably my least favorite of the 4.
Yeah, that's wild to me, but it's okay.
Yeah, spoilers. I like Inception.
Okay, thank God. We won't just be arguing the whole time. But yeah, I feel like Inception was the absolute pinnacle of Christopher Nolan as a director. I'm not saying he can't get back to that again, but just like that time and everything that came with that movie, because he had just come off of The Dark Knight, which was widely loved, snubbed at the Academy Awards for Best Picture, but still won Oscars. Obviously, the iconic Heath Ledger performance, and it made over $1 billion. So that finally allowed him to make this like weird, like no one had ever seen the concept before, like dream heist movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. He puts it out, and this movie made over $800 million at the box office.
I didn't even know it made that much. Holy shit!
It made over $800 million. Got a nomination for Best Picture. I feel like this was like the highest peak for Nolan, because since then, everyone knows his name, obviously, but I don't think any of the films like post Inception and Dark Knight, like even Dark Knight Rises, I think is the worst of the trilogy. And then I'm not crazy about Interstellar, not crazy about Dunkirk, not crazy about Tenet. I think all those movies are good, but I don't love any of them like I did sort of this era of Christopher Nolan, and especially Inception and Dark Knight.
Yeah, the only Nolan movies I like more than Inception are the 3 before it. The 4 stretch you're talking about, the 3 and that other than Inception are the only 3 Nolan movies I've seen that I like more than Inception. So yeah, I like Inception more than anything that comes after it.
Yeah. Dude, like, why did he have to make Insomnia? Because imagine if Insomnia didn't exist and he went from Memento to Batman Begins, and then the stretch continued, like that would be crazy. But he has Insomnia in there, which I don't think is that good of a movie. I think it's really boring. But that's basically what convinced WB that he could handle Batman Begins. So I guess we have that to thank for it.
Interesting. I haven't seen Insomnia.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say if you want to watch Nolan, like have seen all the Nolan movies, then like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But, yeah, cause he made Memento, which everyone loved, but that was like still pretty low budget, not like a huge studio film. So before Warner Brothers wanted to give him Batman, they wanted to know he could deliver something of quality on a big budget studio level. And Insomnia was overall well received and made money. It wasn't like, again, it's not seen as one of his best in any means, pretty much universally known as one of his worst, but it still proved to WB.
First too, so it's not really a bad thing. He's gotten better at directing. Oh my God, sue the guy.
Oh, that's crazy. But, yeah, Inception, in between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. This is my second favorite Nolan movie behind The Dark Knight. I love it more than Batman Begins, which I know you disagree with fairly strongly.
I don't like either of these movies more than Batman Begins or The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I like The Prestige less than Batman Begins, but probably more than The Dark Knight Rises. And then I like Inception more than all 3 of those, and just below The Dark Knight.
I like both the movies we're talking about today more than The Dark Knight Rises, less than the others.
Okay.
And I prefer The Prestige to Inception slightly. Yeah.
The Inception for me is just like so overwhelmingly cool. That's the word I use to describe Inception all the time. Because it's like, it's a heist movie, which I love, but it's like the most unique heist movie ever because it's like in a dream and everything. And everything they do with it, with just like building this world of people that are able to go into people's dreams and basically have a life of crime or otherwise in someone's dream, I just think it's one of the coolest concepts ever. And I think it's executed pretty well. I really like all the stuff. Some people would call it just like exposition dumping, but all the stuff around like how a dream works and what you can and can't do in a dream as compared to real life, specifically with
some people would call it exposition dumping, but some people still are confused.
I know. That's one thing we got to talk about is people think this movie is so confusing still, and I just don't understand how.
Me either. They spell everything out.
They do. They explain everything enough, and then you get to see it in action. Like, I'm not saying it's like a brain dead, throw it on and you'll just get everything. You can be on your phone for half of it and whatever if you've never seen it before. It requires active.
Yeah, you got to be paying attention.
It requires active attention and thought. But if you're doing all those things, I don't see how you can be confused, really.
Me either. At all.
Like,
especially
maybe for some people,
they, like, bring it up too. Like they don't just mention everything once and then like leave it. They like repeat these things throughout, so that as if they're reminding the audience. Maybe that's what you meant by exposition dump. That they keep bringing it back.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe for some people the concept is just not getting into their brain. Like they just don't understand the concept of it as a whole, like wrapping their head around it. But either way, it works. It all works for me. I think it's great. It says probably one of my favorite ensembles in any movie. Obviously, Leo's the lead, which I love. This is also the only time Leonardo DiCaprio worked with Christopher Nolan. I hope he comes back at some point. But busy guy, so who knows. But he's in here. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in here. Tom Hardy's in this. That cast of a lot of Nolan familiars, Cillian Murphy, Michael Caine is in this movie. He's not in a lot of it, but he fulfilled his role as Nolan's old guy. I just love the cast and how they play off each other. Ken Watanabe's in here. He's really good. I don't know. What do you think about the cast?
I like the cast. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this a lot.
It's probably my favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt performance. Either that or 50-50 probably with Seth Rogen.
This is probably my favorite Joseph Gordon-Levitt performance. I think he's great in it, and like he keeps up with Leo too. Like he really impresses me in this fucking movie.
Yeah, he's awesome. Just kind of the right-hand man to Leo. We also have Marion Cotillard in here as Leonardo DiCaprio's wife, or Cobb's wife. He's in The Dark Knight Rises too.
Talia al Ghul.
This is literally just Dark Knight Rises cast.
Or I'm sorry, Miranda Tate. I'm sorry, not Talia.
Oh yeah, not Talia al Ghul. Nope. It's literally just The Dark Knight Rises with Leo subbing in for Christian Bale.
Yeah, like I told you that last night. I was like, they should have just had Christian Bale in here instead of Leo, so it'd be The Dark Knight Rises. Just the prequel. Like, how did whatever Tom Hardy's character is in this movie, turn to Bane? What happened?
I don't know, man.
He got stuck in limbo. He fucking got Talia took over his mind.
Yeah. Oh man. But I don't know. I just think I love the concept. I think it's probably the most visually interesting Nolan film to me, maybe with the exception of Interstellar. But I love all the visuals. I love the crazy stuff with like the city bending up when he's working with Elliot Page's character, who I love that character in this movie too. I think his character works great. Obviously, kind of ties into the more emotional side of the story because Elliot Page's character is the one who kind of breaks down Cobb a little bit, like sees through his walls and why he can't build and the connection to his wife and stuff, which I think is kind of an underrated aspect of this movie because for me, it wouldn't be one of my favorite movies of all time if it was just the dream heist. Like, I really like the element of like, why is Leonardo DiCaprio's character so damaged and his fight to kind of like let go of his wife and let go of his past. I don't think it's like amazing, like super well done at all times just because I don't think Christopher Nolan has ever been a incredibly strong emotional filmmaker, but I think there's more emotion in this than a lot of the Dark Knight trilogy or like Tenet and other stuff like that. So I appreciate that part of the story.
I mean, I think that stuff's important because the entire reason they're doing the time heist, the entire Leo's character specifically is doing the time heist is so he can get back to America, get back to his kids, and he has to do the time heist in order to do that. So it's kind of important to understand, like, why is he out of America, like, what happened, how, like, you know, to know that he cared about his wife and he got framed for murdering her somehow.
Mm-hmm. Well, because his wife, like, wrote him in on the, like, suicide note, basically. That's how he was framed. Or I think it's like, he wrote a letter to, like, the police saying she felt unsafe around him and that, like, she thought he was gonna kill her or something like that. I don't know. Dude, Leo was having a tough time in 2010 with the ladies. Let me just say. Between this and Shutter Island, which is even worse on the marriage front, I feel for the guy.
Yeah, definitely. But no, one of my favorite parts of the movie is like when he says that to Elliot Page's character, like that they think he killed his wife, and he just says there's like a pause, and he says thank you,
mm-hmm.
and she's like for what? He's like for not asking whether I did or not, and I'm like
yeah,
I love that line so much.
That's a great line. I think their dynamic in this is great because Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Leo have an awesome dynamic too, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, he doesn't really like push Cobb into us getting to see that side with the wife and the kids and why he can't build anymore. And so Elliot Page character kind of is able to let us see into that a little bit more. With Joseph Gordon-Levitt, it's just kind of the cool, like, George Clooney, Brad Pitt aspect from the Ocean's movies is kind of what I'd compare those two to. But I love both the dynamics. I love the whole team. I think the characters are awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he just got the best dialogue for me personally or what, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is just like my favorite in this entire movie. Like, I love every time he's on screen. I love this guy.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, you're right. It all kind of does start with Leo's need to get back to his kids, and obviously, like Michael Caine plays his dad. I'm pretty sure, like the kid's grandpa, or maybe it's his wife's dad. I don't remember exactly, but Michael Caine shows up in this movie for like 3 minutes total, but every minute he's on screen is like some of the most important stuff in the movie. I feel like Nolan was legit like, how do I get Michael Caine to do the most meaningful stuff in the least amount of time possible? But, yeah, another thing I feel like we need to talk about is, Hans Zimmer's score in this movie. Obviously, Hans Zimmer's worked with Nolan forever, although Nolan's got a new bitch now. Ludwig Göransson is like his guy, I guess. He scored Tenet and Oppenheimer now. But, obviously, Hans Zimmer's work on the Dark Knight trilogy is excellent. I really like his Interstellar score. Personally, for me, I know you like the Dark Knight more. This might be my favorite Hans Zimmer Nolan score. I love it so much. I think it's so great. I like the more like big bombastic, style stuff when the action's going on. I think it's really cool. And then, the theme, it's just called Time, I think, which is like the slower, more like melodic theme that plays during the ending specifically, like the whole ending sequence once he wakes up off the plane. That's like maybe my favorite like single piece of film music ever. I think it's so great. I listen to it all the time.
That's me with Molasses from Batman Begins.
I love Molasses, don't get me wrong, but I can drive safely while listening to Time, and I can't do that for Molasses because I'll probably get a speeding ticket or crash into someone.
I have to skip it every time it comes on and I'm driving. I'm like, oh no, can't do this.
But Hans Zimmer, what a guy. Yeah.
I think the score it's awesome.
It's so good. Do you think, because this is a longer movie, it's just under 2.5 hours, do you feel the length or not? Because For me, I can feel that it's a longer film, but I don't get bored or like, when is it going to get over? Like, for me, the length isn't a big issue.
I don't know. I feel like there's stretches where I feel it, but like I think the like back half of this movie moves pretty fast, so it's mostly like just
well, almost like the entire back half of the movie is the heist, like implanting the idea, which I think I texted to you. It's kind of crazy because I'm used to heist movies being like 30 minutes of a final heist, and they go into like phase 1 of the first level of the dream. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's with like at least an hour and 15 minutes left in the movie. They're in Cillian Murphy's dream for a long time, which I like. I think it's cool. Kind of goes with the fact that they keep talking about how it has to be like Inception has to be like the most in-depth heist ever because it's so hard to do. So it makes sense that there would be so much screen time devoted to it because they're like, yeah, we got to do 3 levels and everything's got to work out. We've got to line up like 17 different kicks. Not all of them are going to work. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's going to do some cool shit in a spinning hallway.
Yeah, that scene was awesome.
I love that scene. It's so cool.
Maybe it's the real reason Joseph Gordon-Levitt is my favorite character in this movie.
I mean, that is like probably the coolest scene.
It is, dude.
It's so great. I love how he's like, how am I going to generate a kick with no gravity? And he figures out to use the elevator. Like, I think that's so smart. I love his character. I agree. Leo's character probably still is my favorite just because I feel like he's more fleshed out and has more depth than Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He is the main
But
character.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, yeah, obviously. But, yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets so much cool stuff to do. I just think this movie is, like, book-ended incredibly well. Like, the opening 10 minutes and then, like, the final scene and just the ending in particular are both amazing to me. Like, I love it's got one of my favorite hooks for an action or, like, thriller movie like this where, like, the corporate guy, like Ken Watanabe, he wakes up from the first dream and then you find out that they're in, like, a dream inside a dream. He's like, we're still dreaming. That to me is like the first time I watched it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Man.
But yeah, and then I don't know, you want to just talk about the ending? Cause I know that's like obviously a big piece of this movie. It's the ending.
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about the ending, sure.
Okay. So I think this is probably one of the more iconic endings in movie history, or at least talked about film endings, because some people do not like it. To me, it's like one of my favorite endings ever. I know you said you really like the ending too, but it's interesting that it's controversial.
I don't know. Is it interesting? I feel like people just like age of social media. I just feel like everyone makes anything controversial.
That's a good point. There's not a lot that isn't controversial at all. I don't know. I can understand the feeling of like, I want my ending to just be told to me exactly how it is. No room for interpretation. I just want it to end and know exactly what I saw. Cause sometimes I'm like that. Sometimes, if there's like an ending that's totally ambiguous or it's like, it's up to you to decide. I'm like, come on. But
like the same people that complain about the ending to this movie are the same people that complain about the ending to Prisoners. And I don't understand either of them.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. I love the ending of Prisoners too. That's also like
I fucking
one of my favorite endings.
Prisoners.
Yeah, the whistle is so great. For me though, like I do think there is a discussion, like is Cobb still dreaming or is he not? I feel like, I know you clearly said to me, you can explain it if you want, but you think he is not dreaming. He is it's all real.
Yes.
That's probably the way I would lean, but I feel like, part of it can go into just like, if you want to look at it optimistically or pessimistically. Like, I feel like the ending on the top leaves room for if you're the type of person who's just like, no one can ever be happy. Like, there's no way that would be realistic. Then you could be like, it's still in a dream.
I don't think it's just the top, though, because in the dream, he never saw his kids' faces. They turned
that's a good
around
point.
this time.
Right. Yeah, okay. I think you've said that before. Maybe someone else has said that. That's really good. I like that.
See, that's the thing that I drew to. I drew to that before the top even, like, before it even got to the top. Like, he started spinning it, and, Michael Caine walks out. It's like, look who's home, and they turn. And I was like, oh, they have never turned in a dream. We never saw their faces in a dream. Not even in the airport, like, when he walks by and they're there, they don't turn.
Yeah. Interesting. I like that a lot. What I would say for me, though, is like, I feel like a lot of people, if you're so into the like, is it a dream? Is it not a dream? Is it real? Is he still dreaming? I think you kind of said this, but I'll expand on my thoughts. I don't really think that is the true point at that point in the film. Like, I don't think it really matters, because the reason we zoom in and focus on the top is Leo has left it behind. Like, Leo does not care at this point. He sees his kids and he's happy because he's finally gotten rid of the baggage of everything that happened with his wife. And so I don't think he cares, and I don't think the audience should really care, because he's clearly happy with it.
I still think, like, even that the sound that the top is making, like, the last sound you hear is, like, it's slowing down, like, it's about to stop. So, like, I think it is real.
Which,
you said, it doesn't matter either way, but, like, or maybe that's the last sound you hear and you didn't see it actually stop, because who knows, maybe it's not real, maybe it just, like feels real to Leo, so, like, that's what matters. Like, he's happier, he's in a happier state now, he's left the other shit behind.
Yeah, that's what I say, is, like, gun to my head, I would say it is real. All the reasons you've laid out make sense to me. Also, I want to believe that after all that, after everything he went through, he got stuck in, like, the eternal dreamland again and had to find his way back out. I just want to believe that it's real, but at the end of the day, he doesn't care at that point. He runs to see his kids. He leaves that thing behind. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the point, is that he's happy, he's in a better place, and that's what we should focus on. But either way, it's one of my favorite endings. I think it's brilliant.
I do too. Because, like, maybe also the reason he saw his kids' faces, if it were a dream, is because, like, he already killed his wife in the dream. He's left her behind. So, like,
right,
if it is within a dream, it feels more real now. Because he doesn't have that.
Like Maul, because Maul, his wife isn't, like, a factor anymore. Isn't, like, hanging in his subconscious and dragging everything down. So, I don't know. But, yeah, I think it's a great ending. I know, like, you obviously really like this movie. What are, like, some complaints you have? Because everything I have is nitpicks. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I want to hear, like, what aren't you the biggest fan of?
I don't have, like, too many complaints. I think it could have been probably a little bit shorter, but the time doesn't really bother me at all. I think it's fine. They could have, I told you this earlier, but, like, they could have done the, flippity rotating room and flipping cars thing a little bit less, and I would have been fine with it. Like, the anti-gravity stuff, I didn't need as much of it as there was.
That's fair.
But, like, I don't know. Characters and stuff go, I don't think there were any wasted characters or anything like that. I think they make use of, the important things.
Yeah. No, okay. I agree to an extent about I agree about the amount of the slow-mo and the anti-gravity, but I also think it works to build up, like, tension and be this, like, are they gonna do it, like, moment.
I feel like it was kind of an excuse just to, use that awesome-ass score some more.
Well, in Tenet, Christopher Nolan learned that the whole movie is just going to be an excuse to play an awesome score, because nothing else in that movie matters, according to Nolan. There's dialogue going on? Who cares? You don't need to hear that. Listen to the score.
Sounds like the name of, like, a mid-2000 sitcom, according to Nolan. I would watch
That would be
it.
great. I would definitely
If
watch
Nolan
that sitcom.
hosted just a talk show called According to Nolan, I would watch it every week.
We need to email him or reach out to his team somehow. This needs to be a thing. According to Nolan, I feel like that dude's got some wild shit in his head. Like if you've seen Interstellar,
movies, most definitely.
yeah, like just watch Interstellar and then tell me you wouldn't sign up for a According to Nolan podcast. Like that'd be awesome. But yeah, all it comes down to, like, I think this movie is just the perfect blend of a really cool concept with, like, good action throughout. I don't think it's, like, top-tier action. I don't think Nolan's ever done, like, unbelievably well with directing action, like, nowhere close to, like, John Wick, other stuff like that. Even in the Dark Knight trilogy, it's not some of my favorite parts. I think the action, as far as like the vehicles and chase scenes and stuff go, is great, but the actual like hand-to-hand combat stuff like that was never a super strong point in the Batman films for me. But I think the action's enjoyable, and then I think it's mixed with my favorite like sort of more personal story and emotions. Even the little touches like the stuff with Cillian Murphy and his dad. I really like. Like I love the line where we find out earlier in the film that his dad's, like, last words, or one of them he mumbled or muttered, was disappointed. And so you're led to think that it's like, oh, he's disappointed in Cillian Murphy. And then at the end, when they get that moment together, he's like, I know, you're disappointed I couldn't be you. And then his dad goes, no, I'm disappointed that you tried to be like me. That's a great moment for me, because I'm like, that kind of hits hard. I'm like, yeah, be your own man, Cillian Murphy. That kind of, for me, balances out the like, oh, it's just a job, you know, and they're just using Cillian Murphy in his mind so that cop can go home to his kids. Because that is like a positive interaction between him and his father, even if it was in a dream.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have that idea now. So I really like all that stuff. I think the movie's great in general.
Yeah, it was between him and his father because, like, the whole game plan beforehand was, like, to make the idea they're implanting an emotional one so it's more powerful and therefore has more of a chance of him remembering and all this actually working. Inception actually being a success.
Dude, I haven't talked about Tom Hardy at all. Tom Hardy doesn't get that much to do, but I love all the little stuff he gets. Like, I love when, I think Leo and then either Joseph Gordon-Levitt or someone's with him, and they're talking about the idea of doing Inception, and someone's like, it's not possible, right? Because that's what we heard, like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt thinks it's impossible, like, it's seen as, like, something that can't be done. And then Tom Hardy immediately is like, no, it's very possible, it's just bloody difficult. I'm like, that's such a Tom Hardy line. I love that he got to say that.
Yeah. Such a Tom Hardy line.
It really is. Dude, he needs to be in something great again. It's been a while. Like,
yeah, he's been doing
Venom. I know, like, why is he doing Venom? Like, I like Venom Let There Be Carnage.
That fat Sony chick, man, that's why he's doing Venom.
I will never blame someone for getting the bag, but at the same time, come on, Tom, come back to something great, because we know you're a great actor.
He's playing Mad Max 6, right? That comes out this year. Or Mad Max 5?
Isn't that
5?
Isn't that like a prequel though?
Oh shit!
Like, I think it's a Charlize Theron movie.
You're right.
Overall, like, it's called Furiosa, isn't it?
I have no idea, dude.
I think it's a prequel about Charlize Theron's character from Mad Max Fury Road.
Damn. Never mind. Yeah. Scratch what I said.
I know. We gotta save Tom Hardy, dude. He can't just keep doing Venom forever. Well, Braden's looking it up. He's Googling.
Still trying to find what the fuck is this movie called? Is it?
I think it's
Mad. I'm just gonna type in Mad Max 5.
Okay.
Oh, Mad Max: The Wasteland. Is that what it's called? Tom Hardy's in it.
Is he?
Yeah, I think maybe maybe they are making like a for whatever you said movie. What is their name?
Furiosa?
Furiosa. Maybe that's a separate thing.
Oh, what the? Okay, I see this Mad Max The Wasteland, but there's like nothing for like Tom Hardy is the only one listed on the cast on Letterboxd, so I feel like that is like still probably years away.
Set to get its next film installment in 2024. Oh, next year.
Yeah. Well, we'll be ready for you whenever, Tom.
No, Furiosa is next year.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm confused.
I don't know what's going on with Mad Max.
Damn it. When you need, where's Connor when you need him? He probably knows what's happening.
He probably does know what's happening. We'll have to get the updates later. But, yeah, as a whole, I love Inception. Probably always will. It's one of my favorite movies. I know it's not, like, to that level for you, but I'm happy you rewatched it at least, because I do think for the length, it's pretty rewatchable. Like, I've seen it multiple times, and I'm still interested and invested each time I watch it. So, yeah.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah, it is, and I hope Nolan can get back on that sort of level, starting with Oppenheimer. I feel like if all goes to plan, based on what I've seen and what I know, Oppenheimer should be the best Nolan movie since Inception.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
That's
the goal.
Yeah, it's honestly the first Nolan movie I'm like legitimately looking forward to since The Dark Knight Rises. Like everything else he's done since then, I've been like I can wait until it's on streaming. I haven't gone to the theater to see him, but this one I'm like I want to see that. I want to see Oppenheimer. It looks freaking good.
It looks really interesting. It looks great. I love that they didn't really use any CGI. The cast is insane, dude. Like, Matt Damon's in this, Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt. Obviously, Cillian Murphy is the lead, but unbelievably stacked cast. And it's got the perfect partner on its release day, the Barbie movie, which I also cannot wait for. The boys are going to be eating good on July 21st.
Just, a week and a half away.
Yeah. But, yeah, I'm sure we'll do an Oppenheimer episode after that comes out. It was good to talk about these two movies, though. I'm glad I finally rewatched The Prestige, because it'd been a while, and I do really like that movie. And, yeah, hopefully Nolan can make another banger, because it's been a little while, even though I still consider him one of my favorite directors, just for that run in the 2000s to early 2010s.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. As for
these
two
now
movies,
I'm going to go and...
I like both of them.
Yeah, they are both great. I'm going to go put on a jacket because it's cold here in the Austrian Alps. Starting to get a little chilly. Hopefully I don't have frostbite. And, yeah, we'll see you when we see you, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to go back into hibernation now.